This will be a compatibility natal charts analysis. You can also call it twin flames natal charts analysis. As you know, we just did a family analysis, all 4 members of the family. And we have some twin flames natal charts analysis out here as well, new. Welcome to Archangel Revelations Prophecies in 444. I am Gat, your host. All right. So, of course, she'll get a. She's done this before, but now she's getting a twin flames natal charts analysis. And she'll get a free report for that. So, that report will include everything about astrology, the 12 houses, and the archangels. That is a free report. So, enjoy it. And on this chart, on both charts, we're going to give the all in all of both persons, everything that's on the chart. So my responsibility is to make sure it's thorough, that everything is explained clearly and fully. And that's what I will be doing. And then a person's responsibility is to take notes, because believe me, it's a lot of information. It's going to be hard to really understand everything. And everything will be covered. Once you take notes, you'll realize everything is covered, because I cover everything on the charts. Because sometimes there's so much information. Somebody, he didn't mention that, but I usually do. And when I get another one, like somebody will just get to, are they my twin or not? So that means they didn't listen to the whole thing. They just want to know if the person's their twin or not. So I'll try to make sure I address that. That is usually towards the end of the video, to get that definitive. And also, but it's still good to have, even if say today they really don't want to know everything, but they may not feel that way 2 months from now. They may not feel that way from a year from now. So this is your prediction for life. So I try to give it to you so that you have it. So when things start to change in your life, you'll still have it, or you might become more aware of the planets and things like that, and you'll know how to go right to your natal chart with those answers. So that's why I make sure I give it to you fully. So all right. We'll start with the person on the left who did request this. And it's like I always tell it, this is your best way to find out, because you find out everything. Anything else, if you use a psychic, it could be accurate, but you really don't know who you're talking to, and sometimes you really don't know if it's accurate or not. If you just get a daily horoscope, that's okay, but that's so limited. When you have your natal charts, it's going to inclusive. Everything in your life is on your natal chart. This is your predictive prophecy for life. I will even dare say it actually is your personal Bible. It's your covenant, your contract with the universe, as above, so below. So without further ado, we'll get started. We're going to the natal chart on the left in the first house. If you notice her ascendant, her AC, that's where the sun was over the horizon when she was born. And the east point is another sun location when you were born. That's the EP, the east point. So as soon as you go in, we're going to be dealing with Virgo in the first house, and then we're going to touch on those retrogrades as well. All right. So first off, your ascendant, your first house, your personality, your mask, the way the world sees you. So whenever you see that Virgo, that's the sign for Virgo. Virgo rules the 6th house, so I'm going to be explaining your 6th house right now as well. This is health, service, daily activities, home, small animals, children, co-workers, or subordinates. But it's the home element. And Vesta works with Virgo. But your Vesta is retrograde, so we want to make sure we understand that. And also your Jupiter. Now, whenever you see part of fortune, let's do that really quick. We'll do part of fortune. Part of fortune tends to just be an amplifier, but it does tell you something about birth sometimes. So we'll look at it. We'll let part of fortune speak for itself. So you want part of fortune in Virgo. The characteristic style of Virgo is intellectual, analytical, conservative, and always seeking perfection. The person with part of fortune in Virgo uses his mastery of details to attain happiness and success. So Virgo is very detail oriented, as they say, analytical, but in some ways it could be critical as well. So you have to be mindful of that, because what you perceive as just communication could be perceived as criticism by someone else. And now we might as well, since we're here, we're going to do the first house, because you're part of fortune. Okay, so that now it's talking about when you were born. You were born just after a new moon, which means new beginnings. So the moon on your chart would be was born just after a new moon. So you have a new moon personality. So you have a strong individual way of meeting life situations. If you put yourself and your unique achievements out where you will be seen, which is your first house, public, you should have great success and happiness. This is a person who wants to stand out in his own way. He has a charm and human magnetism of the sign on the ascendant. So that's describing your personality as well. So that was part of fortune. And it's bold because you also got a lot of Leo energy from your 12th house there as well. But it is in your first house according to the time that was given. All right. So now we want to look at Vesta retrograde. We'll be back. All right. Before we look at Vesta retrograde in your first house, we're going to look at Jupiter retrograde. Jupiter is one of the two social planets. The other one is Saturn. Jupiter can affect people in a very holistic manner, which is interesting because holistic is health and healing, and that's what Virgo deals with. This retrograde causes society to reevaluate ethics. So you do a lot of reevaluation. You're going to find the same thing out with Vesta retrograde. And Jupiter retrograde causes you to question spiritual beliefs and positions. Laws and acceptable or unacceptable behaviors are reevaluated. Jupiter retrograde reminds us that we're all interconnected, connected as a society, culture, and people. From this viewpoint, we see more of the things we have in common instead of the differences. We look at those behaviors that may have once been unacceptable or had a stigma to them and find compassion and acceptance. Jupiter is a ruler of travel. When in retrograde, travel plans are often adversely affected. Even the best well-laid plans can fall apart. Luggage can be lost, means of transportation can develop mechanical problems, and reservations can be mixed up or canceled. If Jupiter is retrograde in your chart, searching for ethics, values, and fairness is probably a strong part of your personality. You seek truth and look for deeper meaning in life. Scientific or philosophical research may be of great interest. You may shun spiritual beliefs and feel a lack of respect for those who have a strong sense of spirituality in their lives. But not having this type of spiritual connection in your life makes you feel flat and sometimes empty. You probably feel boxed down or boxed in. You probably feel bogged down or boxed in by routine, or rituals, or blind faith. You continually question the latest fad or intellectual thought, only to feel disappointed in the end. You're looking for that perfect spiritual journey mixed with intellect, hoping to find the right balance between the two. From a past life perspective, There may have been a lifetime when you were persecuted for your spiritual or ethical beliefs. This experience has probably left you feeling uneasy about embracing anything larger than yourself out of fear of another existence of persecution. You may be concerned about showing your wisdom, feeling fearful of responsibility, or jeopardizing the position of those who listen to you. So to overcome these lessons, try to listen to your inner voice or intuition. We all have gut feelings, and a healthy amount of skepticism is a good thing, but too much skepticism can keep you from finding the balance you seek. Take a little step and start with meditation. Even if you don't want to associate it with spiritual path, you can't deny the scientific benefits of such an exercise. When you meditate, take time to listen to your inner voice, and you might find the perfect path you're looking for. And that was taken from paganpaths.com, retrograde planets. And we did Jupiter retrograde. So it's all about reflection and checking things out and maybe reevaluating things. Now, Vesta retrograde. This is a time to get back to your center. It's a time to focus, to find ways to amuse yourself by yourself, to playfully find your creative epicenter. Tend to your altar, whatever form it takes. Build and strengthen your inner firewall. Get centered. So your first house is all about finding what's your center, your balance, and reevaluating things you believed or things you were taught. But Vesta can also be spiritual. Vesta is a lot of energy. Like Vesta direct means it's going to be too much energy, and you may need to find time to relax, or you'll get sick or burn out. Vesta retrograde takes you introspective, kind of like just reevaluating everything. Now, I still want to look around just to make sure we've covered Vesta as best we can. All right, now you may want to look this up. This is Twin Flame Astrology Report. You can find her on YouTube. She did Vesta retrograde. Again, Twin Flame Astrology Report, Vesta retrograde on YouTube. You can also find it at her website, Twin Astrology, Twins Astrology, TWINSTROLOGY, where she says Vesta will help you with your 5-dimensional energies. She will balance the masculine and feminine energies to purify and heal you. Because like I said, Vesta works with Virgo. In this case, the woman is saying it's for twin flames, but it could also be for the home or family. Especially related to sexuality and the sexual energies. Because Vesta is also a priestess. But you have to be careful because Vesta can also influence sexual repression, fears, inability to share oneself with others, or maintain close relationships. So you have to be very careful of that. They say, especially if she's retrograde. So you want to be very careful of repression coming out of your first house. And that was taken from VALKYRIE, astrology.com, Vesta. And it talked about her being retrograde. See, some people say, now this is the practicalmagi.com. They say Vesta represents honor, duty, sacrifice for a cause, which is service, and that's what Virgo is. Influence the home, like I said, and one's work ethics, because it is a home and it could be your daily activities, which could be work. But now this one says that Vesta is the goddess of earth, or priestess as well. Some people say she's highly associated with sex. Some people say she's highly associated with like spiritual things, a home and duty and sacrifice. So only that person would know on their chart. We might be able to see it through other areas in the chart, but they all agree that Vesta retrograde represents a time to reflect on the way we serve others, or a cause or a belief, in addition to our sense of honor, pride, and sacrifice. Retrograde Vesta acts whether the service is selfless pleasure or martyrdom, obligation or genuine responsibility. All right. All right, so that was good. Now give me one moment. Okay, but before, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you notice, your 6th house is ruled by Virgo, but guess who's there? Aquarius. And that's the male's sign you're asking me about. And if you notice by those lines, it's a direct connection. And your sun sign is Aquarius. His moon sign is Aquarius. So right away, you're already seeing that there is definitely a connection going on between these two people. So what she would do is really take notes and meditate on that first house, because her first house is directly related to him. And you see how they're doing it, and see how it is, see how they're doing it. When I say they, I'm talking about the people who put this chart together, or the person who put this chart together, the universe, who's ever got the power, because you have a unique Aquarius Capricorn connection with him, and you can tell by the lines on your chart. So you really want to understand that first house and probably that 5th house and that 6th house on your chart, because it's going to have a lot to do with him. And if you notice, a lot of your activity is in those houses I just named, because a lot of it has to do with him. See, the reason why I advise taking notes, because people tend to work off emotions, and that's why a lot of people in relationships or twin relationships have problems, because you're going to have to balance it. And you just heard that lady at Twin Astrology say it. You have to balance the masculine and the feminine. You got to balance the intellect and the emotions, because until you do, it's too powerful. It's like it'll be highly emotional, and you just can't even, some people can't even stand next to their twin or be near their twin, because they'd be ready to blow up, because that's too much emotions and not enough intellect. And jumping the gun a little bit, but because I see Capricorn, she may have met this guy at her job, something with her career or her reputation, because that's what Capricorn rules, also rules the 10th house. All right, now we can go right to the 2nd house. Libra So your Libra is about couples, relationships, law, contracts. It could be open enemies. But Libra means your money and your possessions revolve around partnership. Now your third house of Gemini, and you have Pluto in your third house too at 22 degrees. 22 is usually the twin flame number. So you can already tell this is some type of, on her chart, it's definitely going to be some type of twin soul or soulmate relationship. But the bottom line is in the third house of Gemini, it's going to deal with, it's going to be highly, highly intense. And might be a lot of separation between these two people. Because we're going to do the 8th house right now, which is Scorpio and Pluto. But let me just do the third house. The third house is ruled by Gemini, which again, couples, twins. It's about short travel, creativity, siblings, younger education, communications, multitasking, intellect. And I'm pretty sure I said creativity. Your third house is a lot like the 5th house. But in a twin flames relationship, the third house usually it shows the like they keep separating because they don't have the stability to stay together. That's not until you get to Sagittarius energy. So now, the 8th house, which we're going to read right now. Because this is all going on in her 3rd house and her 8th house. Some or all of it. The 8th house ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto, deals with secrets, mysteries, esoteric knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, obsessions, power struggles, greed, lust, compulsive behavior, addiction, stalking, intense watery emotions, psychic abilities, and I want to make sure I put intensity. I know I said intense watery emotion because Scorpio is a water sign. Intensity, psychic abilities, great transformation, high sense, sexuality, doubt, debt, taxes, IRS, legal matters, and I'm going to put court in parentheses. Because you have Libra in your 2nd house and then Scorpio in your 3rd, you may have seen court matters in your life or may see court matters in your life. Shared resources, inheritance, finances, business karma, other people's money, the soul, reincarnation, afterlife, birth, death, resurrection, rebirth, regeneration, animalistic behaviors, freaky, down and dirty behaviors, psychological situations, studies, research, knowledge, forbidden knowledge, investigations, investigators, managers, addictions, drugs. Can put alcoholism in there as well. Other worlds, creepy crawlies, other dimensions, science, higher sciences, alchemy, metaphysics, sacred geometry, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, aliens, higher life, astral planning, telekinesis, dreams, interpretations, animals, enemies, Halloween, the divine womb, deities, tarot cards, higher thoughts, inheritances, loans, banking, animals, pregnancy, woman's body, and if I didn't say it, karma, because of the number 8. And I'm going to say it just in case, business and finance. The 8th house rules other people's money and transformations. Other people's money can mean debt, taxes, inheritance, joint finances, spouse, partner, and loans. This house is on the axis with the 2nd house, which we're talking about now, where you have Libra, and is on the axis of money. The 2nd house is your money. The 8th house is other people's money. Transformations can be mental, emotion, physically. It can be sex, start of life, pregnancy, process of life, and major transformation in a woman's body. and death, both literal and figuratively. The more serious side of life and deep thought are very 8th house. The 8th house also tends to be misunderstood a bit, seen as depressing. This house is one of the 3 relationship houses. The 5th house is love, 7th house is commitment, 8th house is sex. The 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. So you have all that going on in your 3rd house, and we'll revisit it in your 8th house. Give me one moment, please. And that's all going on in your 3rd house. Now your 4th house is about family. Now you have Pallas there, which is making sure she's not retrograde. All right. Let's do Sagittarius in the 4th house. The foundation of your personal, your 4th house is ruled by Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. Your 4th house deals with like young adult to higher education, land and property, the heart, vehicles and travel, family and ancestors, and whatever person played a mother role to you in your younger life will be in your subconscious mind forever while you're in this dimension. That's your Imom Coeli. So that is your 4th house. But it is really about family. The foundation of your personal, private persona and your life is your need for freedom and expansion. That's Sagittarius in the 4th house. Your house needs to be large and open with lots of natural light. It needs to be remnants of being outdoors or to bring the outdoors inside in some way. For many with this placement, you may find that the world in your house, in your home, the world is your home in a way that has you feel at home wherever you go. For others, you may find that you need a solid home base in order to feel comfortable going out and exploring. You want some place to call home and come home to. Your home may show off your worldly tendencies as you likely display various items and or photos from your personal adventures. This is where the self-centeredness of the Sagittarian could give way to getting more involved with people and life itself. The 4th house initiates involvement with life, the self-involved in the daily activities of life and people. The Sagittarian could have a tremendous impact upon other people by helping them find the meaning to life itself. For this is the house of how we influence others and our environment. The 4th house location of Sagittarius, which would aid in bringing in the feeling quality to the Sagittarian sign. Also, the idealism of Sagittarius could be stimulated. A caution must be stressed, for there could be a tendency with the Sagittarian in the 4th house to emphasize possessiveness, not letting go. In other words, also the fire sign tends to have more immediate impact on people in general. With the location on the 4th house, we're dealing with the aura that is projected to people. The Sagittarian has to be careful to present one which is free as possible from personal motivation and working from the standpoint of good rather than self. So now that's Sagittarius in the 4th house. Let's try Pallas in the 4th house. Good, we have Bob Mark Astrologer. That's just who I wanted. Now, Pallas will help you with your abilities to recognize patterns, to rearrange or arrange things. But also, Pallas helps out in social issues like the poor, children, women. So you may have that going on too. So we're going to do it a couple of ways. Your Pallas is in your 4th house. If you have a difficult problem to figure out, go home. Pallas in the 4th house means that your ability to see patterns and solve problems is greatest when you are in the house. The 4th house shows the last third or so of your life. Your problem-solving abilities will probably become stronger with age. Now you also want Pallas in Sagittarius. Pallas in Sagittarius, don't bother looking for small patterns. Leave that for Pallas and Virgo people. You have to get to the big picture, see the large scale patterns, and then teach others about what you found. But that's interesting because you have Vesta and Virgo in your 1st house, so that can be detailed oriented. But in your family house, it's more like bigger. You're not looking for smaller details in your family house. The 4th house, you're looking for a big picture. But in your 1st house, you are looking for smaller details. That's interesting. So it's a balancing going on. All right. We'll be back in a moment. Now, your 5th house is really fun. It's ruled by Leo. About fun, romance, travel, children, childlike ways, childbearing, taking risks. But when you have Capricorn and Leo, which is his ascendant as well, and you can see how your 5th house is a lot like his ascendant. But when you have Capricorn and Leo, this person, fun for them is getting things accomplished. Because you got to remember, Capricorn rules the 10th house of career and reputation. So fun for them is more getting things done. Like if they don't feel accomplished at the end, it won't be fun. Like most people perceive fun as just going and fun and just having a good time. But for this person, it's more, there has to be an accomplishment. Something has got to have gotten accomplished. Like even like chess. Chess is one example of Capricorn in the 5th house. It's fun, but it's really a serious game. And with Mars there, they can be very competition, but but they could also be very good with sports or entertainment. And a lot of times when you see Uranus with Capricorn and Uranus with Saturn, it's because this type of person can balance. They do things differently. Like you have Saturn Capricorn energy that's basically standardized. Okay, everything's going to be done this way. But with Uranus, they'll come in and say, no, it doesn't have to be done that way. Like Uranus is more like that person. Like you may have conservatives, but then you may have more moderate conservatives, or even almost like a liberal conservative. Like they say, oh yeah, I do believe in conservative values, but we do have to help the people. See, that would be Uranus. Uranus rules Aquarius. Is all about the community or the people. And Neptune, at the end of the day, is all about dreams and ideas. You have the asteroid called Curious. It's all about nurturing. And again, Venus is about finance, fashion, beauty, diplomacy, love. But that's only going to work if the fifth house has meaning. Like her fifth house can't just be fun. Even though Venus likes to have fun too. But her fifth house it still has to have meaning for her. And you do see social, like you see like a so well that's really Aquarius because it's about the community, so it is kind of social. But that's what you see there, like having a fun event, but the fun event is going to help some type of issue because Venus is also about diplomacy and about love. So what I'm saying, she can't just go out, like she can't just go out and say I'm gonna have a date, it's all gonna be about me and my date, everything's about me and my date. It's more social than anything. And that's her true north node. So just so you know, that's your purpose in life, to kind of like help others. And this because Capricorn represents your 10th house of career and reputation, but your fifth house really is about like you found a way to help others and make it fun for them. Like I mean, a charity, whatever for kids or stuff like that. That's all in your along those lines. But that's all in your fifth house. And that's your true north node. That's which is your purpose for life. Now your south node is what you did in a past life, basically, is your 11th house. Still ruled by Aquarius. So you have a major connection to Aquarius, and that's your sun sign as well. But now that's your friends, association, and groups. They become kind of like your family, because that's the family sign in your 11th house. But because of Aries in your 8th house, now we already read to you what your 8th house is all about. But you are gonna have a lot of those issues we read in the third. When we did your third house, I read Scorpio and Pluto, but I read it because it's the 8th house. It rules the 8th house. So you will have a lot of concerns in those areas. So you have to be very careful because that's a very emotional, intense house. And with Aries there is really going to be unbelievably intense. So we're going to do now, this is called sextrology. Capricorn in your 5th house, Aries in your 8th house. Give me a moment. Just got to clear some of these browsers out of here. If Capricorn is a sign in your 5th house, you approach sex, love, and dating with a great deal of sobriety. realism, and caution. True love might feel like a ridiculous fairy tale to you, and it's possible that you'll wait longer than most before you experience the most gratifying sexual and romantic experiences promised to you in life. If you have Capricorn in your fifth house, you might be more reserved about opening your heart up to love, but once you do, you'll view love and sex with tremendous responsibility. Capricorn in the fifth house will bring limitations in the love life in some capacity. At times, practical considerations of your career might be more important than the pursuit of a romantic relationship. Once you do fall in love, however, if you have Capricorn in the fifth house, you'll work tirelessly to ensure love endures any hardship. But see, all this is going back to your first house because you got repression there because of those retrogrades. If Aries is a sign in your eighth house and your approach to intimate love and sexual encounters will be passionate and enthusiastic. You're not afraid to go there with Aries in the eighth house. In fact, the prospect of a relationship being truly connected beyond physical sex completely turns you on. If you have Aries in the eighth house, and you'll likely have an extremely active sexual life and will pursue getting your deepest needs met through your sexual encounters. You might be reckless when it comes to sexual practices if Aries is in your eighth house because you're so into the moment. Be sure to practice safe sex until you're certain you and your intimate partner are exclusive. When it comes to achieving sexual regeneration, you'll dive into the depths that more trepid souls fear to tread. Your motto is let's get it on. Alright, again, but all that goes right back to that first house. And probably the fourth house as well. Alright. Now your sixth house, which is your sun sign, and really almost your moon sign too, because your moon is right on the border. And really, to be honest with you, that line is actually in your sixth house for the moon. So that would be up to you, but you with the moon in Pisces, you definitely got psychic abilities. But me personally, if I was gonna when you do your moon sign, you would do both Pisces and Aquarius, just by where the line is at, because this is all based on a time given. But you would do both signs because you're going to be sharing that energy either way. And your Juno is just barely entering your seventh house, but that also could be right on that line. See, the Aquarian wants to take knowledge to help people, and the Pisces is the same way, but the Pisces is more spiritual. The Pisces is basically associated with the gathering. You're like if you go to church or gathered in a building. Whereas Aquarius, he tends to go out to the community. Innovative inventions to help the community and things like that. And he's all about modern and technology and things. Uranus and Aquarius, that's what they're about. And they're very independent signs as well. They love their independence. Now, why your Aquarius is in your sixth house? Because it's ruled by a Virgo. And at the end of the day, it is about home. So we can't forget it is about home. You can say family as well. But it's also about healing. Because there's going to be differences between you and Aquarius energy, who you definitely have a soul connection to. So the Virgo energy invested, they're all trying to heal it. All right, and you can even see by the vertex cross that you would have a significant meeting or a significant event with an Aquarius. And that's what his moon sign is, Aquarius. And it's also his true north node. So you can see that it's destined for him to meet you, primarily under that Virgo energy. Because that's his true north node, his life purpose. See, these things are real. It's real when you see people's natal chart. It's so beautiful. But it's just that, like I said, being in third dimensional, we just kind of mess things up, which isn't fully our fault because a lot of us have been through terrible families and just all kind of crazy stuff. And so it's hard for people to believe it, even though they can look at the chart and see it. It's still hard for them to accept it. So your fifth house is a lot like your sixth house because now you got Aquarius that wants to heal everybody, but then you got Saturn that's going to try to regulate. But that could be for your own protection because again you could get taken advantage of because people will just take and never want to give back. Saturn helps reality. Like Saturn is about karma, and karma is give and receive. It's not just give all the time and never give back. So that's what Saturn's kind of trying to help you there. And again, Mercury makes you a great communicator and a great intellect. That's one thing about you with that Virgo energy and that Gemini energy and that uh, Mercury energy. You'll be a very intellectual person. The Sun is the divine masculine because you've already learned your chart is about balancing the two energies, and that's what Vesta retrograde is about. So the Sun is about divine masculine energy, intellectual energy, and then the Moon is about psychic or emotional, watery energy, feminine energy. So you're trying to get that balance going on in your sixth house. That's what Virgo is doing. And whenever you're dealing with Virgo and Vesta, you're dealing with a priestess energy. So that's what you have going on. And also, because of Lilith is so close to both those houses, you're going to meet someone who's going to be of a Pisces, Aquarius Pisces energy, or Pisces Aquarius, however you want to put it. But they're going to be spiritual, but they're also going to be they're going to care about teaching the people, teaching the community. Now, Lilith. So let me I'm going to check my little thing and see if I have her. You want either Lilith in the signs or Lilith in the houses. All right, so this says signs and houses. Well, let's see what we got here. So just give me a little bit. I'm going to try to find some information. All right, this is good. Did we have this before? Let me see. Just give me a moment. I'm just trying to get this information. Alright, I'm just trying to see if I got this. I'm going to put this on pause. I'll be back. Alright, so now we have Lilith and Aquarius. And that's in your 6th house. So Lilith and Aquarius at 725. Lilith and Aquarius will probably mask their hidden emotions with a series of ever-changing kaleidoscopic surface emotions, and will seem fascinating and elusive to others. The native may be chimerical, fluttering like a fairy from one situation to the next. At its worst, Lilith in Aquarius is irresponsible, remote, and refuses to listen to others. Now we'll do Lilith in the 6th house. Alright, let me try something else. Okay, we have it. I spelled it out, it didn't work, then I just used the number 6, TH, and they gave it to me. Lilith in the 6th house often lets you succumb to rational temptations of perfection, correctness, and hygiene. On the other hand, also an irrational, intuitive attraction shows up. A fight between understanding and feeling could occur here. And that's what I've been telling you. Your whole chart is about balancing those two energies. And that's what twin astrology said too. A fight between understanding and feeling could occur here. Perhaps you internally hate all the perfection and such things. You may misjudge the reality frequently, and you take liberty to place criticism without the necessary objectivity at the same time. Your psychological understanding is very noticeably, and perhaps you find your healing in helping other people, in healing and in sympathy for others. In partnerships and relationships, it could come to a conflict between your thirst for autonomy and an urge to commit yourself to the other. If your public life gets too stressful, you may tend to retreat from it for a while. So it's a chance that Lilith may bring some problems in your 6th house with this gentleman, with the Aquarius. Okay, and again, your 7th house we really already covered, but your relationship will be based on spiritual, Pisces spiritual. And remember, Pisces rules the 12th house as well. 7th house, again, is partnerships, relationships, contracts, open enemies, legal matters. All right, we already did your 8th house. Just got to watch out for all that intense emotions and addictions and obsessions and Aries. Now, your 9th house is ruled by Sagittarius. It's all about foreign matters. Foreign languages, psychology, religion. Class and culture. So let's do Taurus and Sagittarius. And Taurus rules your 2nd house. Well, with Taurus in the 9th house, because Sagittarius rules the 9th house. You likely look to the philosophical and remember that Jupiter rules Sagittarius. You likely look to the philosophical and or spiritual to earn or otherwise attain your financial and material resources. So we're going to do that again. You likely look to the philosophical and or spiritual to earn or otherwise attain your financial and material resources. This is the danger that you use your intellect to take the place of tangible, and there is a danger that you use your intellect to take the place of tangible and practical efforts, expecting that your beliefs and philosophies will do the work for you. It is important not to depend on or expect education and information alone to carry you through to wealth and abundance. You may find that communicating the wisdom of your life experiences to others help you find and or attain finances and material resources. You may also find that sharing your philosophical and or religious beliefs contribute greatly to your ability to generate wealth and abundance. Now, if you're operating on a lower frequency, a lower octave, lower vibrations, the Taurus can oftentimes be an Elmer Gantry in spades, so to speak. The Taurus would be less concerned with preaching the real truth than with preaching his or her own truth for their own benefit. Here again, the tendency of Taurus from the past was to have been a dogmatic religionist, very much attached to the trappings of religion. Now remember what they said about your Jupiter retrograde. In the past life, you may have been persecuted for this, for your beliefs and stuff like that. So there goes that whole dogmatic thing going on. So they're saying in this life, be careful not to just say I'm smarter than most people, and I could just tell them what I believe, and they'll follow me, and just be dogmatic. This is the way it is, and that's why you got to be careful of Saturn. That's why when I saw Saturn down there, I was like, yeah, be careful of Saturn, because here comes a dogma. This is how it's going to be. This is the belief system we have, and that's the way it's going to be. And that's how most religions are, most churches. They're just giving you dogma. This is what we believe, and if you don't believe what we believe, well, there's a door right there. They could care less if it's true or not. It's not. This is not what they're doing. It's like a community. It's like a club. It's like a lounge, but it has nothing to do with the truth. So they're saying be careful not to be that way. That's a lower octave, they're saying. So they say a higher octave would be somebody looking for the meaning behind the symbols in these religions and things. There must be a greater value placed on knowledge, because in the past it was knowledge possibly for the sake of knowledge itself, or knowledge as a Taurus could use it to purely benefit themselves for self-promotion or material gain, rather than for communicating it with others by direct reaction. And that's why that Aquarius is coming in your life, because he's going to help you with that. And see, then they talk about your third house. Rather than for communicating it with others by direct reaction, of course, to the third house. There's a responsibility of the ninth. This is the responsibility of the ninth house affairs, to get that Taurus energy in a more people, truthful energy, instead of, hey, I'm really smart, I deserve to get paid because I'm smart, and this is what I believe, and that's what matters. You know, I deserve this. That's a lower frequency, lower vibrational Taurus in the ninth house. A higher vibrational said, let's get the truth, let's work this out so we can help the community. And that's what they're encouraging you to do. The ninth house is also involved with the Christ concept of harmony and wisdom. It does indicate the possibility that in past lifetimes the Taurus was out of harmony and certainly did not work from the Christ concept, and wisdom itself was a superficial type of wisdom, surface wisdom. The responsibility of Taurus in the ninth house is the value of higher knowledge or higher vibrations, philosophy, psychology, religion, higher education, and how this could be communicated to his fellow man. One of the qualities of Taurus is its creative artistic sense, which could be brought into play in mental pursuits and higher mind activities, and developing the beautiful concepts of the higher truths. As the planet Venus is the natural ruler of Taurus, Venus rules Taurus and Libra, we are involved with balance, inner peace. And remember, Taurus rules your second house where Libra is. So this is all Venus energy. And harmony and mental pursuits of activities in the higher mind, and through these, Taurus can find their own balance. So now your ninth house is helping you balance the spiritual and the intellectual aspect of life. And this is like what you see, what you'll call a perfect twin flame, because that's what the male's doing. He's helping her. When they get to that point, they may already be at that point, but what I'm saying with twin flames, they got to come through that third dimensional. And it's so much work for the angels to help you. You got spirit helping you, but definitely got the high priestess helping you. But that third dimensional energy is so egotistical and so, I think it's more afraid than anything. It's just afraid. So the ninth house is also the house of freedom. So this Taurus has got to learn to grant the freedom to others to let them think as they desire. And also to expand knowledge. But they're encouraging you to expand truthful knowledge. It's not just knowledge for your own benefit. To bring new ideas and new concepts to what is already known. So they don't want you to just go to what is known. They also want you to expand and grow within the framework of what is accepted. They say one usually thinks of Taurus as a purely mundane level and associates Taurus with the lower personality, the physical being, the mundane or materialistic individual. On the ninth house, Taurus must learn to be value of the higher self, the essence within or the spirit within, and the higher mind. There must also be the flexibility so that the Taurus does not fall into the trap of a set pattern of thinking and behavior and the presenting of one's ideas to others. All right. Now, the 10th house is Gemini. Again, this is the person who's going to be in create. This is the career house, ruled by Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So this is mental. This is communications. It could be education, but it will be basically younger, earlier education. It can be multitasking. It could be a short travel. It can be creativity. And it always is the twins. It's the Gemini. So that is the career. We already did your 11th house. It's taking family, friends, and associations, and that becomes your family. Because there may have been some real family issues there as well. And then the 12th house is the leader. But there's healing. There's healing here. So they have Chiron retrograde is they have a problem with healing. And you see Leo. So when you go to his chart, right in the 7th house of relationships, I'm pretty 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right in the 7th house of relationship is a vertex cross where there's Leo. So Leo's going to take you to the 5th house because that's what it rules. But it's fun, romance, travel, children, childbearing, taking risk. And we see there was pain there. But why is there pain there for her? Let's see what's in his 5th house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the same Gemini. It could be anything. It could be Gemini related. Because I told you Gemini is the early stages of the relationship where they break up and everything. So it could be that. But it could have something to do with her too serious with the Capricorn in the 5th house. And maybe that's why they were breaking up. So these are all things there. But that's why. So her 12th house is all about spirituality and it's ending and karma. It deals with buildings as well. But Leo, again, the same thing, a leader and everything. But they're trying to correct whatever happened that caused you to have so much pain with that Leo energy. All right. So the 12th house is commonly referred to as the house of the unconscious. The unconscious state can help engender our success as well as assist us in coping with our failures. Success versus failures. Do we consciously confront our lives or subconsciously sweep things under the proverbial rug? Thus, this house might be more aptly called the house of reckoning, since it's in the 12th house that we review what we have been and done and decide where we go from there. Along with these unconscious musings, we also deliberate on strengths and weaknesses that are hidden from public view. Our subconscious works hard on our behalf because this is where all your angels are working, spirit is working, and your subconscious and your dreams and things like that. Our subconscious works on our behalf, and that's why you got Pisces rules it, because Pisces is the spiritual house. So you're trying to make sense of your lives and your subconscious. This shadow play is slow and long and often fraught with fear and pain. And that's why you have Chiron retrograde there with that Leo energy. Something happened in either Leo energy or the 5th house, or even the 7th house of his house, or the 5th house of both of your houses. It is in this context that we are confronted with our sorrows, sufferings, and the secrets we keep from ourselves and from others. Ultimately, we are confronted with our fate, karma. Here we meet with the results of everything we have done. This further puts the focus on expressed agendas and restraints. What have we wrought with our lives, within our lives? This is the key question for the 12th house, and we will deal with it both consciously and unconsciously. Will the answers compel us to be transformed or reborn? This is another cornerstone of the 12th house, the manner in which we move forward. We can learn much from the unconscious in its most noble manifestation. We will be prompted to be charitable. If we learn our lessons, both past and present, we are also better equipped to move forward. The 12th house compels us to seek closure in a spiritual way as an aid to positive growth. The last house of the zodiac also recognizes that we can feel bound in life, stuck and confined. For this reason, this house rules jails, hospitals, institutes, asylums, churches, and any space that inhibits freedom. More gloominess in the 12th house comes in the form of dangers, secret enemies, clandestine affairs, prostitution, sexual exploits, additions, animals. Beware. While some may decry the 12th house as the garbage bin of the zodiac, it's really an unfair term. Ultimately, this house is a champion of positive transformation. It is here that we stand on the precipice and determine how we will proceed. By reflecting on and using the unconscious mind to revisit the past, we begin to form our incoming future. So that's what you're doing in your 12th house with that Leo. And let's just do, we're going to do part of fortune, because it's so close. So we're going to do part of fortune in the 12th house and part of fortune in Leo. Part of fortune in the 12th house. They have a unique opportunity to transform or dissolve your karma. This is a person who has a mediumistic talent and the gift of prophecy, which we already said that you have those things, psychic abilities and things. His dreams often give answers. They have a flair for spirituality, mysticism, illusion, and fantasy, and can be productive in film, television, and works of fiction. Because you see it in your 3rd house. That's all the 8th house stuff, but that's your creativity house. And so is your 5th house, believe it or not. It's also creativity house. Though he may not know when it happens, his enemies will frequently change their attitude from hostility to neutrality and sometimes even to benevolence. He is generally unaware of his good fortune. This person with his partner fortune in the 12th house is treated well by healthcare professions. That's good information. Okay, part of fortune in Leo. Because you don't have any planets there. Let's double check. No. In the 1st house you do, but not in this 12th house, which is what we're looking at. Part of fortune in Leo. Showy, grand, and generous, self-assured, a leader. The Leo acts self-expressively, dramatically, and creatively. The person with part of fortune Leo needs recognition from others to feel happy and successful. All right. So now this concludes the chart on the right. We're beginning to proceed to the chart. This concludes the chart on the left. We are going to proceed to the chart on the right. Now, again, when you have all this information, you can always take the notes, go over it. Now, if people need more, that's totally up to them. That would be, of course, a different service. But then we can do it again. But my job is to make sure it's clear, concise for the person. Okay, so now we're moving on to the first. Now you know why his ascendant is in the 12th house, because it has to do with that Capricorn energy. Because remember, your 12th house is ending. So when the universe knows what it's doing, this is why people should take their natal charts way more serious and definitely get your natal chart, because it's telling you your whole life. And you could tell somebody put this together, because it's all about that Capricorn energy, which in the 5th house is why she has that Chiron retrograde. There's a lot of pain there. So it's ending on his chart. All right, but we're going to look at the first chart first, which we already did, is his true north node. All right, I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so we already know that the first house is the house of personality, how other people see you. Again, he wants to help the community. He likes to take in knowledge. Aquarius, they're very independent. They like to take in knowledge. They like to know things, and they like to share that knowledge with others. And he's also got that moon thing, which is going to make him very connected to, say, a community of people. And that's his true. That's what he's supposed to be working on in this life. Now, we're going to find out what his past life was. Give me 1 second. That's the south node. Because right now we're looking at the true north node that looks like that horseshoe with the aura. His life theme is, I know his soul color is blue. Yep, and his past life is Leo. Now, sometimes Leo can be bossy. So we want to watch that, and arrogant and showy, and maybe that's why she's hurt. Maybe that's why she's hurt. So he's got to watch that in this life. So his past life was about a relationship with Leo energy, which could be good when it's to the romance and things like that. But if it's bossy or too arrogant, it could be a problem. Now his second house is money and possessions, but it's still, he's one thing about him, he's a spiritual person. So his money is going to always be having something to do with some type of spirituality. Now his third house is really aggressive. Again, creativity, communication, earlier education, short travel, siblings, the environment around you. But he has an aggressive approach to these things. But now that Palace retrograde is of concern. Let me just see if I have it already in my file. All right, let me see what it says. If not, we'll spend a little time and see if we could find it if I don't have a good. Retrograde asteroids in a birth chart. Let's see. Palace retrograde. A person becomes more consciously aware of the traits a palace internally? Well, you can't give me a definition with the word the word I'm trying to define is palace. In this case, the person thinks and considers their creative intelligence, and that's the third house, overall wisdom and ability to stand up for oneself more. This is due to the true nature of retrograde celestial bodies, which shows the internalization of the traits of the retrograde body. Retrograde karma is working to make the person more aware of palace traits so they can become them better. In a past life, the person may have struggled with rushing in before thinking things over. There could have been issues with desire of protecting what they thought was valuable. Struggles could have existed with developing a sense of wisdom through experience. Standing up for what they thought was fair and showing confidence in their beliefs may have been an issue for them. Being fair to themselves and others may have been a recurring problem potentially they dealt with. Coming into this life, Palace in retrograde can serve the purpose of burning the traits of Palace into the conscious thinking to correct these issues. This can help by making the creative intelligence always active and in motion internally. The value of taking action becomes a part of their regular thinking. They can become a better strategic and consider their moves more. This can help a person develop patience and consider their moves more in life. The conscious side of a person can also consider more the value of applying what they learn. Developing more wisdom and understanding internally, the value of what they learn is a karmic lesson here. The Palace retrograde can help the person think about what they find value in. This can be from karma moving the person to develop an understanding of the importance of their beliefs. Now and understand internally may develop of what is worth fighting for. Now and understanding internally may develop of what is worth fighting for. So, because Aries is a fighter, but they just kept saying it's going to bring more palace, but it didn't really define palace. So let's do that. And palace should not be that difficult. Well, one guy said pattern. That was Bob Mark Astrology, but I think this is a better. All right, so let's do this. Let's see this. Okay. Always astrology. Also called Pallas Athena. So we're going to take off. Just when Pallas is retrograde, she deals with social issues. So he might really fight for social, even women's rights and things. For children, just social issues. So Pallas is intelligent and cerebral. She is a weaver of patterns, linking ideas together. She is strategic, commanding both the warrior and peaceful general. Cities are her domains. She may have an interconnection with Libra because of her focus on ideas. Like Libra, she can see both sides. She is not blindsided. She is only just. She is creative and artistic. She is a survivor. She expects everyone to claim their personal power. Where her influence falls is where you find talents in the following areas. So she carries influence over the immune system, the arts, the father-daughter relationship, intuition, justice, wisdom, defense, horses, and the kidneys. With her spotlight on daddy's little girl, Pallas will help determine how you interpret your relationship with your father, and in turn how you treat all males in general. On her negative side, and that would be retrograde, Pallas touches on conflict. Well, it's not really negative because Pallas takes out, like she'll fight for children, she'll fight for women. So that retrograde, Pallas will. She takes on conflicts, legal battles, because I told you guys might have legal concerns, injustices, and illnesses due to a weakened immune system. So that's why he has that retrograde there. He's going to use his communication skills, his mind, and everything to fight for those who have trouble fighting for themselves. I just wanted to make sure that's what it was. Another way Pallas retrograde can mean abuse, like the abuse of a woman or someone who can't fight, like couldn't fight for themselves, like a crazy guy or something. All right, so that's the first, second, third houses. Now the fourth house is Taurus and the fourth house. So let's do that first. And I want to close some of these browsers. Too many browsers open. All right. The foundation of your personal, private, persona, and life is built upon your ability to provide financially and materially for your family and or your home environment, or upon your ability to have that environment to provide for you. But most likely you do everything you can to provide stability and security for your loved ones. You may feel most at home when you have things around you that have you and make you feel safe and secure and stable. Often either keeping things around that are the form or remind you of your childhood, or by maintaining that status quo, resisting changes to what is so for you in your home or domestic life. On the level of reincarnation and karma, the fourth house is connected with the influence and effect we have on others. The auric field, which we carry around us, with us, represents our own personal home. Anyone involved in the metaphysical field knows the influence of the aura upon others and how we can influence and affect them by what we are thinking, what we are saying, and what we are doing. All register with the auric field itself. So this dude's got some power going on. If you guys are listening, because I've never written nothing like that before. That's unique. So they're saying he could actually come into a situation and change it. that's deep. So this is a very unique person. All right, so I want to take I want to check something out. Wow. So this gentleman that I'm checking out, the reason why I'm doing this, because I heard this about this dude. They said that his generals would come up with something and say, we can't do that because of this reason and blah, blah, blah. It'll never work and all that. And they said he would walk into the room, and after he got done talking, he said the generals will go out and do it and actually accomplish what they just got finished saying they couldn't do. So his birth date is actually April 20th, 1889. So I want to check that out. So now we want to go to horoscope.com and find out April 20th. Because I already know what's going to happen. Taurus, April 20th, 1889 was when he was born. Now, I'm not going to say his name. I decided not to. But you can check it out if you really want to know. And they used to, his own generals would say that. His generals would say that we would tell, there's no way this can happen. No way whatsoever we can take this. It's not going to happen. And he will walk in and give a speech or something. And all of a sudden, his generals will go out and fight and do exactly what they just got finished saying they couldn't do. That's what this guy can do. That's deep. So Taurus in the fourth house can be extremely instrumental in aiding others to find purpose, direction, and meaning in life. Taurus's qualities are magnetic, aggressive, and extroversion, extrovertic or whatever. Can be extreme in helping and guiding others. Introvert would be somebody that's inclusive, kind of private. Extrovert is loves to be around people. But now there is negative qualities of this Taurus. They could be so forceful that they tend to take on the troubles of other people to guide them in a forceful manner. And people want your help, but they don't want you like bullying them. So if you're gonna like be like a type of bully type person, then don't do it. It would be better if you don't offer the help, because most people won't appreciate it or they won't like it. So the Taurus might try to say, you're gonna follow this pattern. This is the way out. This is the way you're gonna do it. And the person like, nah, I don't want to do it that way. Well, that's why you're in this situation, because you don't want to do what you have to do to get through it. But that's how they are. So you have to sometimes let it go. Taurus must realize that all we can ever do is expose people to the way which they can find meaning, direction, and purpose in life. But we can't force them. We can't force that way on them. Taurus is an extremely temperamental sign, and it can often create disharmony in the immediate environment. So if you see Venus on your chart, because Venus rules Taurus and Libra, but Venus is trying to create harmony. So when you see her in your chart, that's what she's trying to do, create harmony. And she tries to show others how they can create harmony in their life. So Taurus's lesson in the fourth house is to teach others to be at peace with themselves and to create harmony in their environment. So Taurus has to realize that no matter where he goes, he's always going to influence people. Anyone who comes into the sphere or influence of a Taurus is immediately affected. They're going to be affected either positively or negatively. The Taurus must be extremely careful to what he is carrying within his own consciousness, for he has a tremendous quality of influence where people and life are concerned. That's powerful. That's the first time I've ever read that. But as soon as I read it, I said it made me think of that person, and I was right, because they say the same thing about him. Because he moved the entire nation, he changed the world, one man. Now you know why. That Taurus energy. All right, so we're gonna do a part of fortune in the fourth house. I don't think we did that yet. They need a sense of home, roots, security, stability to be totally happy. This does not mean that he needs a house to call his home. His home can be an ideal, a person, or an atmosphere that he can feel is solid and solidity behind him. And this guy I'm talking about, that's what he did. He really fought for what he believed, what he said was his home nation, and he really fought for it. He can then go on to find fulfillment in the 10th house profession, no identification. These people are usually very patriotic, and that's what this guy was, a nationalist with strong feeling for home. Because they accused Donald Trump of like being this modern guy, homeland and parents. So part of fortune in the fourth house means that this person will probably be wealthy in the last third of his life. All right, now we want to do part of fortune in Taurus. Part of fortune in Taurus, he's productive, a need to perceive tangible results. He's cautious and practical in his pursuits of happiness and success. All right, moving on to the fifth house. Again, we got that whole Gemini thing, but he would be a highly creative person because he's got the 3rd house energy and the 5th house. We've already explained the 3rd house creativity in the education, younger education, 5th house fun and things. So, and multitasking can be two. It can be two people. All right, now we'll move on. So we already talked about the 5th house with Gemini. We already told you it's Leo issues there. Leo rules the 5th house. And for this person, 5th house is mental, short travel, siblings, the environment around you, creativity. Like I said, a highly creative person, multitasking. That's all in the 5th house. And ironically, he actually has Virgo in the 8th house. So we've already discussed what's in the 8th house, but that Virgo we know is there at the end of the day. It's about service as well, but it's also about healing. And we're going to jump over to the 7th house with the vertex cross. Okay, that's that Leo energy that we already discussed. They would meet under the Leo energy, but it would be something about that Leo energy that would cause pain for the person to the left. So we discussed that. And again, he has Mercury and the 8th house, again, making him a great communicator in those hidden things, everything we discussed in 8th house, because her Gemini, 3rd house ruled by Gemini, has Scorpio and Pluto, which is the 8th house. And then his 8th house has Mercury, which rules Gemini. So they'll both be great communicators in these areas. But they also need healing, because the implication is, like I said, especially with her on the left, she's been through some stuff that's making her kind of repressed in these areas. So she wouldn't have what we would call, like, you meet somebody, fall in love, and have sex. She doesn't have that. It's different. She's more repressed in those areas from her 1st house. So his 8th house is helping her house, her 1st house, and wherever she has repression with all those, wherever Virgo is, wherever Scorpio and Pluto energy is, he's helping her. All right, so now we're going to do 5th house, Gemini, 8th house, Virgo, and this will be sexology. Gemini in the 5th house, and Virgo in the 8th house. Huh. It's kind of funny. I just selected it, and it's the one I'm looking for. Because it said Gemini in the 5th house, and I just selected Gemini in the 5th house. But it actually went to Gemini in the 5th house, Virgo in the 8th house. I didn't select that. That's awesome. All right. With Gemini in the 5th house, sex begins in the mind. Dating prospects must have the gift of gab in order to turn you on. If there's nothing going on upstairs, then there will be never any love potential. If Gemini is in the sign of your 5th house, there might be a tendency for you to date more than one person or have multiple sex partners. You might also be drawn into a casual love affair more than others. See, remember I told you that Gemini is really like separation. If you see anything with twin flames and Gemini energy, it's probably going to be some aspects of pain and separation. And keep in mind, this is in his 5th house. Now you're in that ruled by Leo. Now you're starting to understand her pain with Leo in the 12th house with Chiron retrograde. This is a dual sign and needs constant stimulation in order to not feel bored. A relationship that's open and accepting of your curious, sometimes flighty nature will be most appealing to someone with Gemini in the 5th house. Commitment is possible, however. The only way you'll remain true to one love is that person knows how to keep you on your toes. Above all else, Gemini in the 5th house will experience sexual pleasures when talking about it. So they may even use communication for sexual stimulation. Now, Virgo in the 8th house. Your approach to sex intimacy will be cautious and discriminating. You might have an almost clinical way to achieve sexual satisfaction and to please your lover, since you'll focus on the technical ways to make sure you both reach orgasms. The problem with this is that you might forget that it's your effort. You might forget that in your efforts to be efficient, you're also taking some of the fun and spontaneity out of your sex life. With Virgo in your 8th house, you're a master at the sexual details, but remember not to overlook the bigger picture, intimacy. If Virgo is in your 8th house, you might love to offer your services to your lover in other ways besides sexually, and might wind up giving a great deal of yourself in the process. One thing is certain, with Virgo in your 8th house, your lover will definitely need to measure up to your incredible standards. All right, now going into the 6th house ruled by Virgo, all about service in the home and health and healing. And his Chiron is direct. So he's definitely got healing. And he's got nurturing there too. Because remember, Virgo can be a nurturer as well. So his 6th house is about healing family issues. Because that's 6-9. That's Cancer, rules the 4th house. And the moon rules Cancer. So this is all about education, property, real estate. Imum Coeli, the mother and the subconscious, the heart, the family, the ancestors, vehicles, and travel. But he's got healing going on there. And again, Virgo rules the 6th house. Can be details, critical analysis, detailed analysis, health, healing, service, the home, daily activities, young animals, children. That's all going on in his 6th house ruled by Virgo. But it looks really good. So he'll definitely have healing in these areas. I'm going to try something. Let me just give me a little bit. All right, let's try this. So 6th house in Cancer, you work well when you're helping other people and can be emotional with your work. You may care more about your work than any other area of your life. If you don't have stable work, it has a physical impact on you. Watch for stomach or breast issues. You're caring with your coworkers and not dominating as a boss. You can work from home with Cancer here, or do work that helps families or with your own family. So that's what you got the Cancer for in the 6th house. Jupiter in the 6th house. With Jupiter in the 6th house, you can have an easier time than most finding work when you need to. You just need to make sure you remain interested in whatever you do so you don't bounce from job to job. You tend to get along well with your coworkers and work with people from other places. And you, because that's Jupiter. Jupiter is foreign. It rules Sagittarius. So he'll get along with people from other places. And you can expect nothing but the best out of them. You can understand the details and how they fit together. That's because of Virgo. The 6th house rules work. So Jupiter here can show that you can work with writing, speaking, travel, language, dealing with other cultures, the law, or teaching. Because remember, he's an Aquarius for the community. So that's really his claim to fame, is really going around helping people around him. Even with that Taurus energy. Remember, Taurus energy was in the family, 4th house ruled by Cancer. Now Cancer's in Virgo. So he's really out there to help people. Like, he's the type of guy that can't sit. Like, if you were sitting with him, you might walk away and come back, and now he's sitting next to somebody and somehow giving some type of advice or stuff like that. If you ever been somewhere and somebody just walks up to you and starts telling you their problems and stuff, it's that type of energy. And Jupiter will also be about finances as well. Good fortune, finance, and expansion and growth. So that's all going on in his 6th house. Now, everything that's going on in his 8th house, he's taken in through communication and mental through Mercury into the 9th house. And that is his sign, Libra. His sun sign, Libra. So he would meet someone, possibly a foreigner, and be in a serious relationship with her. Because your 9th house deals with foreign things, out of town things. He may find himself in a relationship, but it'll be out of town relationship. And remember, Sagittarius is about distance and travel, so this could even be an internet relationship. But it's something that's out of town. That'll be his relationship with Libra. So Libra rules the 7th house. Yep, look at it. This is so awesome. This is so awesome. Now Libra, because pretty much I was going to say they look more like soulmates than anything to me. But look at this. So his Juno is in Libra, all right, which rules the 7th house. Now her Libra is in the 2nd house, which is talking a lot about him. Now go to her. Her Libra is in her 2nd house, talking about him. But now go to her 7th house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Pisces. And that's where her Juno is. And then his Juno, his Pisces, is in his 2nd house. So did you just see what just happened? His Juno is in Libra, which is in her 2nd house. Her Juno is in Pisces, which is in his 2nd house. And that's how you know these are twins. Because they keep complementing each other all throughout the chart. But Juno always represents the person you're going to end up in a serious relationship with. Now, he likes to travel. He's foreign. And even if it's just a mental, whatever it is, but he likes to travel. But like I said, he wants somebody with him. In order for it to be fun in the 5th house, he needs somebody with him. In order to really think things, and that's why his Mercury is so close to the 9th house. Because he wants somebody with him. And that Virgo in his 8th house is her at the ascendant. So it's all about healing. So he'll find himself in a relationship. A serious relationship, because you got both Juno and Libra. But now you want to know Mars in Libra and Mars in the 9th house. This is always astrology.com. Mars and Libra can be indecisive, but they do eventually get things done. They procrastinate usually because they are weighing all their options before coming to a decision. They tend to end up defending themselves and others who may feel are downtrodden. Because this guy's like a superhero. Instead of creating harmony, which is their goal, they may end up disrupting everyone in their efforts to attain balance. And you got to watch, because Libra and Taurus are ruled by Venus. So he can be somewhat of a bully, because he'll see the right way and he'll just force it. And believe me, people want to be babied, which I don't like it either, to be quite frank. But you have grown adults that they really want to be babied. And if you don't really talk to them in such a way like that, you're going to get that resistance or whatever else. So he's got to learn how to realize the human nature. So, and your ninth house is the house of psychology. So he may want to take psychology class, because you got to learn human nature. They really want to be babied. Even in the sales and marketing, if you study, most of the stuff being brought is not a need. It doesn't need to be brought. But the salespeople are experts on knowing how to talk to people and manipulate people and persuade people and all kind of stuff. And people like that. They like that attention. I used to work in a sales floor, and I used to watch it all the time. So Libra Mars is charming, and it is important to them to always appear that way. Because of this tendency, they may act passive-aggressive. Instead of openly upset or mean, they may sneak about or rely on subterfuge to make their point. They may also take all the energy from Mars and turn it into action at times. And you got to remember that, because that Mars is also in the 5th house, and that's where you guys had trouble. That's that Leo, that's that Leo energy. They are gracious and entertaining and will attract many people, because this person loves people. Libra Mars are very good at knowing when problems will occur. They are expert at compromise and conflict management. They follow the rules of social etiquette and have a desire to gain approval. They prefer intellectual pursuits. They are objective and somewhat unemotional. They don't like confrontations or battles. They can be manipulative to get what they want. Mars and Libra needs motivation. They do best when paired with someone they adore. They are affectionate and romantic, but they have a rather low sex drive. While they can unlock the passions in others, they are fairly conservative themselves. Role-playing may intrigue them. They dislike rudeness and vulgarity, and will stay far away from potential partners that display such behavior. They are very subtle in their approach to sex. Romance is very important, as is lots of sensual contact. The environment is very important to set the mood. They can be very skilled at pleasing their partner. Mars in Leo has a reputation of being unfaithful, but it stems from a difficulty saying no rather than the straying eye. You learn more and more about why that Leo has Chiron retrograde in the 12th house. So ironically, her 12th house is really about him and her overcoming what hurt them in the past or in the past life. They tend to expect their partner to read their minds about what they like. If they have an unspoken need not being met, they will hold their anger in and let it seethe while they wonder why their partner doesn't have a clue about what they want. They prefer to be showered with praise and affection and love, being the center of attention. They may be even choosier than Virgo. They may allow themselves to be pushed around for a time, but it will eventually make them unhappy unless their relationship equals out. So that's deep. So you got a lot of situations to think about in his 9th house. Now, Mars in the 9th house. Let's see if we can get that. Good. MyAstrologyBook.com. That's who I would have chose. The 9th house is where we search for truth, experiences that broaden the mind and help us find our philosophy of life. Here we expand our consciousness, synthesize meaning and facts and experience, adjust personal attitudes to collective ideas, and understand how things are integrated into systems. This house rules higher education, religious and ethical understanding, spiritual visions, in-laws, long journeys, law, and the higher courts. Here is what remains of the purification that took place in the 8th house, is seed or essence. Religion comes from the Latin word back, legar, to bind, hence to bind back, and thus refers to all kinds that last or endure, such as the truth. Many planets in the 9th house are usually an indication of being unwilling to accept the conventional limits within which we were raised. Well, he has the Sun and Mars in his 9th house. With Mars in your 9th house, you're strongly motivated. Give me a moment. In your search for knowledge and truth, as well as developing your personal philosophy. Now, they're saying if your Mars is afflicted in hard aspect to the Sun, so we have to find out if that's true. Your religious fervor could easily become fanaticism. You have a great desire to travel and will probably have many long journeys, perhaps becoming a traveler of the world. You're generally quite restless and are often looking for adventure and excitement. It's best to live at some distance from your in-laws. As you are apt to have strife with them. So you might want to make a note of that there will be some there may be some in-law situations going on. All right. All right, I'm just looking at a couple of things. All right, so that's good. So now, what your Mars is, it's not, I don't know if you would call that afflicted, but your Mars, you could say your Mars is conjunct the Sun. So let's try to find that. But we already know he's got a Mars issue. And remember, the Sun rules Leo. So this guy can be aggressive for what he believes, but he just can be too aggressive, too passionate. All right, this is cafeastrology.com, Mars conjunct the Sun. Sun conjunct Mars is difficult to be indifferent towards people with Sun conjunct Mars in their natal charts. They have presence. There is a curious air around them, and they exude confidence, even if they don't own it. If they're not highly active and energetic people, they are most certainly confrontational. They get right to the point, go right for the jugular, and they make things happen. You might call them impatient, but not in a nervous sense of the word. They simply can't wait around for something to happen. They want something, and they want it now. These people have competitive spirit. They like to win. Channeled into sports and games, they make formidable opponents. Although sports that require strategy may not be their forte, simply because they are apt to aptly force to get to their goals. See, when you look at her fifth house and you see that Mars, because somebody might say, hey, listen, I'm not that way at all, because it's talking about your twin. Because I got the same stuff on my chart. A lot of my chart is talking about my twin, because I know my twin, and she's totally like that, but that's not me. So that may be the case with this, maybe not. Whatever I said about her fifth house on her left, it may be talking about him, because it's the same soul, just different bodies. If not channeled this way, they make formidable business opponents. Those without a channeled, however, run the risk of being bullies, looking for a fight, getting all fired up and hot under the collar, and stirring up trouble at every turn. Properly channeled, however, these people are gusty, not afraid of conflict, and really quite daring. If you peel away the layers, however, you might find a rather insecure person who does everything in their power to improve themselves. But that's still going back to family issues. That's why his family cancer is in that the healing under Virgo. See, she's helping him heal, but he's helping her heal too. That's why I say, I'm going to tell you guys over and over again, I've learned a lot dealing with all these people and dealing with all this. It's a lot of people. You got to come out of third dimension if you want this to work. Like when you get this video, the best thing you can do is give it to the person and kind of tell them why. Like just a brief note. Don't try to explain anything. Start to trust the universe more. Start to touch the spirit more. The archangels are working. The spirit is working. The high priestess is working. It's up to you to kind of say, hey, I don't want to, I just want you to know we're twins. I did this, however you can do it, but it should be really short. Maybe through an email with the link, and let that person, and don't even follow up. Trust the universe, because what will happen is through dreams and all kind of strange synchronicities, this person will be pushed to listen to some of that video, and that's the start of that person waking up. But what happens is people think, oh, like I'll hear a lot of females say, well, he should come to me, or I'm not going to I'm going to let him wait. He'll wake up on his own, but he's not. He needs you. You two are twins. You need each other. And some twin might say, well, I met my twin and he's really, he seems dark or he seems aloof. Or yeah, but he's probably been going through pain. You're supposed to help him heal. So that's why you let him know. Because that's going to be the first step to anything. Not saying it's going to, it may have really good results, but it may still take a while. But all that playing games and not telling the person and, oh, I'll wait on this, or I'll, pray about it, or I'll use crystals, all that. You got to actively let that person know that we're twins and I did this. Listen to this information whenever you want. And don't make it don't do a long, don't be creepy. Just like a really quick thing. Hey, I think, I'm pretty sure you and I are twin souls. If you want to learn more, just listen to that video. It's about me and you. And that's it. And then they can make a choice. They can say F that. They can put that video, save it somewhere else. They could delete it. But you're still putting it in their consciousness. And then you're giving the angels something to work with. When that working, like we said about the 12th house, they're going to work on the subconscious. So you have to let that person know. Just don't make it creepy, because then they're going to run. It says, because we are combining two masculine planets, people with this aspect might be considered masculine in expression, regardless of their gender. And love, they like to be the one who does the pursuing. They love the thrill of the chase, but they might be easily once they have conquered. But you got to understand what they just said. Don't totally go by that, because they just said Mars and Libra wants you to do the pursuing. Now they're saying the Sun and Mars. See, it's going to be a lot of confusion sometimes, but that's why you need astrology. That's why you need your natal chart, because they're trying to show you all the ins and outs that you may have with this person. and it can get confusing. But I think the more you accept it and deal with it, like you could have 3 kids. Now one kid, you could say, "Hey, everybody out the bed." That kid ain't getting out the bed on his own. You got to go in the bed, get the kid out the bed, and did you wash it? Watch behind your ears and all that. But the other two might not be like that, or the other two might be like that. And you might have one kid he's already up before you even come through it. She might already be up. You're coming to tell him to get up. That one's already up, brushing her teeth, ready to go to school. The other two are like, "I don't want to go." So each person is different. But it said they love the thrill of the chase, but once they conquer it, then it becomes dull. And we already learned that he loses interest easily. All right, so there you have it. Now his 10th house is going to be the supernatural, going back to your 3rd house. Now that's where you had that whole Cancer, that Capricorn thing going on, because Capricorn rules the 10th house. See how he's got Pluto. So her 3rd house may be connected to him, but his career and reputation is going to be based on the supernatural. Everything we read about the 8th house, he even has a number 13 there. And then number 15 is Capricorn. It's a tarot card. Capricorn, which is the devil card, which is where the lovers are kind of bound to a materialistic way of life. And you see it's real close to Venus. Real close to Venus energy. Now, so your Venus is real close to your 10th house. So somehow that love of the Scorpio and Pluto in the 10th house to that career is going to be carried into your 12th house with Sagittarius, which we already read what the 12th house is all about. But now we're going to study Sag, because I told you Sagittarius is the ending. It's when they finally grow up, when they get past the Gemini stages and they start to stay together. And again, Gemini and Mercury are all about communications. So if you don't tell your twin, if you're sitting there playing games, or he should chase me, or he should know, you can't. Whoever is more mature, they have to really try to reach out. And the funny thing is, even your twin may still whatever. But you gotta let the universe will work it out. And it may not be exactly when you want it to, but you see it getting worked out in your 12th house where you have 9th. Because when you go back to your 9th house, there's Libra and Juno. There goes all the love. And the sun is shining. And Mercury's so close with communication, with the Virgo coming off the 8th house, and your ascendant is Virgo. So it's going to work itself out in the 12th house. We already did that. It's about karma and endings. But what we do have to figure out is what Sagittarius in the 12th house means. And the 12th house is ruled by Pisces. And we already talked about the Pisces, how that's him in the 7th house and everything we just did. And your 7th house is Pisces. And his 2nd house, we already did that. All right, so when we come back, we'll do Sagittarius in the 12th house, and that'll bring us to the conclusion. Sagittarius in the 12th house. Your passion for teaching others what you know from experience may become an all-consuming commitment to service. Sacrifice is not an uncommon theme here. Sacrifice is not an uncommon theme here. And you may sacrifice yourself and your own well-being and your personal growth and expansion in order to teach or share the message of wisdom and truth that you have found through your life experiences in order to expand the lives of others. That's what the book of Job is about. He got so caught up on helping everybody else and being a teacher that God had to send in Pluto retrograde. Because Pluto retrograde destroys everything and takes it away. Pluto and Saturn, or Satan, in the Bible is Satan it comes. But they come to teach you lessons. And Uranus comes as well, retrograde, because it takes it all away suddenly. Be careful not to play victim to others when they don't see things the way you do, or when they don't share your beliefs. You likely focus on the bigger picture rather than on specific individuals. And you look at what you have to offer as philanthropy rather than charity. as sharing with equals rather than helping those who are lesser. This helps you avoid coming across to others as arrogant or superior. Be careful not to give more than you have, which is a very common thing for Sagittarius to do. This is the one area, thinking in terms of the religion of the ninth house, where the Sagittarian could mentally comprehend the cosmic pattern. What would be needed on the part of the Sagittarius here is the feeling aspect, the compassion, the understanding, the relationship of the self with the cosmic. This is the house of spirituality, the 12th house, karma, the soul. Sagittarius must not view karma, soul, spirituality from a purely intellectual viewpoint. Selfless service is further emphasized here. Sagittarius wants to be so often to get involved on its own terms rather than a free merging with the universe. Universal concepts will be very easy for the Sagittarian to understand because of the mental ability and agility of the sign, but again the problem of communicating arises. What is interesting here is the quality of Pisces, because Pisces rules the 12th house, would be of benefit to Sagittarius. The fantasizing, the daydreaming. Sagittarius could actually bring these things into materialization or manifestation. So Pisces like to fantasize and daydream because of Neptune, but Neptune could take those fantasies and daydreams and bring them into materialization or manifestation. In a negative way, the sensitivity or emotional aspect could interfere with the intellectual approach of Sagittarius to life. The location could bring in an almost introvert quality since we are dealing with the subjective aspect of any sign on the 12th house. The subjective is a quality of the 12th house. Also, Sagittarius could give structure to the subjectivity of the 12th house and make it meaningful to others. All right. So that does include the natal chart analysis. So all information was given. And when people are taking notes, they can see it. Yes, these are twins. They're actually helping each other with balance in different areas. Now, in some cases, some people say, oh, you know, I said, well, more. That's fine, because you can always do a natal chart reading as well. And we do the phone consultation as well. But I understand the thing you want to do is just try to understand it. Try to understand something. Because even if it's a phone consultation, it's still going to be the same chart you're looking at. The same information. So you want to make sure you understand something. And that's for your benefit. Alright. We got sales going on. You can check that out on Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. Seen and heard on YouTube. And we also have the information in the description box. You can use that. Or you can contact for the full price list where it explains the services and what's covered in the pricing. God bless.